Hello, my name is Desiree Blanchard, and I'm the Communications and Community Engagement Coordinator here at NVCOG, or the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments. No one joined us today in person, but this is a recording of the presentation for our Disadvantaged Business Enterprise goal setting methodology given on June 25th. And I'll just be going through the presentation and recording so that it is available at a later date if anyone is interested in reviewing it. So our agenda for the presentation includes going over the purpose and background of the DBE program, explaining what a DBE or disadvantaged business enterprise is, going through what the regulatory requirements are, explaining NVCOG's goal setting methodology, and then sharing how you can provide comments to us to consider for our goal setting. So the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program is really a policy to ensure that DBEs, as defined in the 49 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 26, have an opportunity to receive and participate in DOT-assisted contracts. The goal is to create a level playing field in which DBEs can compete fairly in said contracts. You can review the NVCOG's DBE program at our website located at NVCOG or NVCOGCT.gov/civil-rights/. So what is a DBE? DBE stands for Disadvantaged Business Enterprises, and a DBE is a for-profit small business that is at least 51% owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. You can find definitions for DBE and socially and economically disadvantaged individuals under the 49 CFR Part 26. As far as requirements, again, this is governed by 49 CFR Part 26, which is called Participation by DBEs in Department of Transportation Financial Assistance Programs. As a Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, NVCOG is responsible for establishing an overall goal, which is set triennially. So we do this every 3 years. We're responsible for monitoring and enforcing our DBE program, and we're also responsible for reporting. So we have that accountability measure there. So the goal setting process is really 4 steps. The first step is to determine a base figure for DBE availability. So all of the firms that are available, willing, and calculating that base figure. The second step is to adjust that base figure using local market conditions if they are available and relevant. 3 is to include public participation and consultation, which is what we are doing here today and what I'm recording here today, and a little bit of what is happening, the outreach that's happening on the back end. Step 4 is to submit that final goal to FTA and publish it for comments for their review. Now, that your input is especially important during step 3 because that is where we as an agency will evaluate real-world impacts of discrimination and availability. So here is an example of what our DBE calculations look like. You can see the equations down at the bottom. So we looked at information pulled from the Census Bureau, looking at NAICS codes, and also looked at the Connecticut Department of Transportation's DBE directory. We found that there were 157 DBEs and relevant NAICS codes to our contracting opportunities. There were 6,164 firms of all available firms in the same NAICS codes. And that gave us a base DBE availability of 2.55% in our contracting opportunities. We then weighted that equation. So to establish a weighted goal, availability of DBEs in each NAICS code category is computed and used to determine contractable dollars. Total DBE contractable dollars are then divided by the total projected contracting dollars, to determine the weighted base DBE goal, and that gave us a goal of 1.85%. So we rounded that up to give us an overall 2% goal. You can view this methodology and the report, or the DBE goal setting methodology report, that's available on our website at NVCOGCT.gov. The next step, as I stated earlier, is to do potential adjustments if necessary. So you can do this by looking at a number of things. You can look at past DBE participation trends. You can look at the capacity of DBEs to perform in contracts. You can look at disparity studies if they're available, and you can incorporate or consider community input on barriers and discrimination. So we currently did look at the state of Connecticut's disparity study done in December of 2024. That study found statistically significant underutilization of minority and women firms. And all of the evidence in that disparity study supported more aggressive remedial efforts for NVCOG, which include things like site visits, good faith efforts, in the form of checklists or reporting forms, and things like partnering with organizations to get before those DBEs and get the information to DBEs. So next steps include incorporating the stakeholder input and feedback that we get into our goal methodology. So there are 3 ways that you can, as a stakeholder, submit your input and feedback to us. You can email me, Desiree Blanchard, at dblanchard@nvcogct.gov. You can send a feedback through the mail. Attention, Desiree Blanchard, at 49 Leavenworth Street, 3rd floor, Waterbury, Connecticut, 06702. Or you can send us feedback by calling us and leaving your feedback that way. Telephone number 203-757-0535. Once we incorporate the feedback and our public comment period is closed, we then finalize and publish the proposed goal to be submitted to the Federal Transit Administration by August 1st of this year, 2025. Then after, we will continue outreach to disadvantaged business enterprises and monitor implementation of our DBE program. As I stated earlier, we didn't have anybody join us here in person, but are happy to take any questions and feedback in any of the methods that I mentioned previously. And we look forward to hearing from you.